Which, all that being said, I hasten to remind Christians as well that the passage that comes to mind is, I believe, from the book of Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament section of the Bible, that there is a time for every purpose under heaven, a time for war and a time for peace.
Peace, yeah.
And no one has really ever addressed, to me anyway, when is the time for war? We've become so fixated on the time of peace that we really haven't understood what's on the other side of the coin. You know, that there is a certain necessary evil in the living out of life.
Yeah.
The struggle of a woman giving birth, which you mentioned earlier. Remembering that there is the potential in every such struggle that the mother will not survive.
Precisely. Yeah.
And that's quite a heavy risk that I would imagine most women who give birth really don't consider.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if they did, maybe we wouldn't have quite so many humongous families and overpopulation in the world and everything else. In any case, so as we're moving toward global community, to understand that just as there is one God with 99 names, there is in a sense one humanity with an infinite variation and number of forms and languages, but that somehow underneath it all there's one humanity, and perhaps that's the best reason of all, not to resort to factionalism and driving wedges between, well, the metaphor that comes to mind, it was one, I think it was Paul used in the New Testament about the different parts of the body.
Yes.
You know, if a hand is in the foot, shall he say that I'm not a part of the body? No, it's all part of humanity. And it's about finding that collaboration where we let the Muslim be the Muslim and let the Christian be the Christian and let the hand be the hand and the foot be the foot, and let each part converse with God to find out what it is, what it should be, and how it can be the best, whatever it can be. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I say that clearly?
Yeah, I mean, from our point of view, if we look at Islamic literature, I mean, there are verses in the Holy Quran and other traditions clearly stating that the diversity in creation is purposeful. It's not accidental.
Not an accident.
No, it's purposeful. And
which, just as a very brief aside, as you say that, one of the things for me as a gay man, when it came time to recognize, when I reached that point in my life where I recognized that I'm gay, it was easier for me to decide that humanity didn't understand than to decide that God had somehow lost control of the universe at the moment of my conception.
That's one way of looking at it. But I mean, looking at it from an Islamic perspective, when you say a world which is pluralistic has room and space for diversity, that is purposeful. God has created such a world. The problem is to ask why. Should this diversity...
partial answers.
No, I mean, this is what we want to analyze.
Okay.
If this diversity has been purposeful and created by those of us that claim we believe in God, God has created this diversity. Did he create, or she, or whatever attribute or adjective we use, did God create the world, this diversity in the world, so that it becomes the source of strife and violence and conflict? Or did God create this world with its diversity, so it becomes, through diversity we become united and converge? Our texts clearly indicate that God has created this diversity for the source of convergence, so that we learn from each other and we unite. There is a unity that comes out of diversity.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that there's a belief in what some people call the afterlife.
Yes.
From a scientific perspective, it makes sense because there's the principle that energy is neither created nor destroyed, it simply changes form. so that the energy that is me when this body dies will change form, but it's not destroyed. It has to go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different issue that we can discuss, and to see how much of the what we call scientific narratives can found space within theological narratives, and particularly within Islam, or they differ. But particularly in this context, when we are searching for a pluralistic world,
Yeah.
multifaceted and pluralistic and diverse, we believe that there is a purpose in this diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And we as human beings have been given this responsibility through working together. We are the agent of that unity to be created through this diversity. We should work together, learn from each other, and collaborate so that that unity can be achieved.
Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to add to that was my understanding that it is within this world where a lot of this diversity happens.
Yes.
It's my understanding that whenever I die, I will not take my gender and consequently my orientation with me. I mean, you can hardly have orientation if you don't have gender. So if I'm not taking my gender with me, if gender and orientation are both details of this earthly life, it would seem to me that if God has created the diversity to be a good thing, that there is some constructive possibility there, some educational possibility, something that will help our souls grow, but that we don't need to make too big of an issue of it because it's not following us anyway.
Whether it's following us or not following us, the clear, if we are the agent,
Mm-hmm.
or the divine agent, and we are supposed to create this, irrespective of what happens in the hereafter,
Mm-hmm.
to create this convergence and unity in this world, we should not allow this, whether it's gender, whether orientation, whether whatever,
Hair color, race,
whatever,
whatever.
yeah, to limit or stop us from achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm.